Welcome back to Pittsburgh. It's West Virginia against Gonzaga. Let's swing it over to Marty Snyder.
Well, Kevin, if you're a West Virginia fan, this is the hardest scene to come by this week. You've got to realize Morgantown only an hour away from Pittsburgh, so all the West Virginia fans wanted to find one of these a ticket. In fact, all the players kept asking Coach Huggins, can I get some tickets? He said, listen, I've got my immediate family, 4 sisters, 2 brothers, and a dad. Are you crazy? I'm tapped out. Before we even started, they estimate about 6,000 West Virginia fans here. Not bad for a 10 seed. It'll be almost a home game tonight, Kevin.
About a 74-mile drive. Thank you so much, Marty. Let's take a look at the 19 and 13 Mountaineers of West Virginia. Kevin Jones, the one to watch there, the senior forward, a terrific player. And Kevin Pangos is a freshman from Ontario who leads the team in scoring. And Robert Sacre is a great defender. There he is, Bob Huggins, in his 5th season with 710 career wins. It stops all over the map. 5th consecutive season they have gone to the NCAA tournament. Mark Few, the winningest coach in Gonzaga history, the 2nd winningest active head coach in college basketball. And back at North Carolina's Roy Williams, now in his 13th year. Great crew working here. Randall McCall, who has officiated 3 Final Fours. Ron Gruber, his 3rd NCAA tournament. And Rick Crawford has been involved in 12 NCAA tournaments. So Gonzaga, the 7th seed, and the Mountaineers, the 10th seed. I'm anxious for this one.
Aaron Brown making his first start of the season for West Virginia in the place of Keaton Miles. They're going for a matchup favorable for the Mountaineers tonight.
Brian Gunner from Kalichla, and here comes the aforementioned Aaron Brown. He is a freshman and finds a quick 2. Brown is a freshman from Darby, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Brown is one of those guys that can stretch the defense, shooting 40% from beyond the arc. This time he stepped inside.
Gary Bell Jr., the alley-oop, and they can't get it to go with Elias Harris from Germany. But they get it back, and slithering inside is Kevin Pangos, the freshman from Newmarket, Ontario.
Nice start there by Pangos, and the second shot opportunity. Only about 5'11", 6 feet, but very quick. Get to the basket. Obviously, can shoot 3-pointers, leading this Gonzaga team in 3-pointers made.
Kalichla. Sacre was defending. The rebound by the leaping Bell. A quick pass down court as they're aiming for Guy Landry Eddy. He's from France. Then we come the other way.
Both of these teams like to play in the 70s, so this pace is exactly what they ordered.
And fun for us to watch.
Oh, no question. You'd like to see him get up and down.
Well, what I'm going to like is the 2 big guys in the middle, Sacre and Kalichla. You talk about bodies. These are 2 big bodies in college basketball.
Darrell Truck Bryant with the miss. Here they come with Harris. Long 3 put down by Pangos.
Talk about him leading this Gonzaga team in 3-pointers made. In transition, you've got to find number 4. Get to his body, run him off that 3-point line.
Bryant, who is a senior from Brooklyn. Hines is a freshman. With 2 minutes gone, and we told you before, just a very short drive of about 75 miles as Harris picks up his first personal foul. But look how far we are from Washington. Over 2,000 miles.
Yeah, it was interesting talking with Mark Few yesterday about the distance traveled. He's like, look, our guys are up for it. We're in the tournament. We're excited about it. We didn't care where we were going to play.
Kevin Jones, he led the Big East in scoring and in rebounding. And a terrific kid. Kalichla, Istanbul, Turkey.
And you talk about bruisers inside. You look at that body, you look at the size of those hands. And when he gets it inside, look for him to go with his left hand, which is kind of his non-dominant, dominant hand.
Outside, they put a 3 up and down. Gary Bell Jr., he is a freshman from Kent, Washington.
This is a very young and inexperienced in terms of years, freshman and Bell and Pangos, but they're the 2 leaders on this Bulldog team.
This is Kevin Jones. And Sacre, the West Coast Conference Defensive Player of the Year, cleans the glass, gets it down to Bell.
Looked like incidental contact there. Chuck Bryant trying to draw the foul.
And Kalichla gets it. Gonzaga comes in 25-6. Mountaineers come in 19 up and 13 down. 9-9 Big East record for West Virginia. 13-3 West Coast Conference record for the Bulldogs of Gonzaga. There are two Browns on the floor. Both are freshmen, Gary Brown and Aaron Brown. This is Gary Brown to Aaron Brown. Elias Harris gets it.
Ooh, you got to be careful with the basketball.
Absolutely.
Too careless in transition.
Now this Gary Brown is a freshman from Puerto Rico. Kevin Jones puts it down. All East, all Big East selection in the first team.
When you mentioned it, led the conference in scoring and rebounding. He doesn't just do it inside. He can step outside and shoot as far as beyond the arc.
That's a good-looking three-point shot from outside. Harris with his first triple.
This is a great start for both of these programs offensively. On a lot of nerves here.
And with Sacre guarding Kevin Jones, I expect to see Kevin Jones step outside a lot more.
So a quick timeout, some great sharp shooting early in the game. 15:49 in the first. Big targets on the back of these #1 seeds. We see an early UK lead over Western Kentucky. Syracuse had a close call with Asheville. Tomorrow, Carolina will take on Vermont, and Tom Izzo and those Spartans of Michigan State will face Brooklyn. So far, the shooting, 43% for West Virginia, 67% so far for Gonzaga. One of the Browns, Aaron Brown, getting tangled up inside with a foul. That goes on Pangos.
Well, Gonzaga shoots about 38% from beyond the arc, and they don't mind taking it in transition. You know, they have excellent shooters between Harris, Pangos, and certainly Bell. And when you got three guys like that and you push the ball up the floor, you better account for the three-point shooter. Can't bury yourself in the paint.
That's why transition defense is going to be paramount for West Virginia to get back and find those shooters. Nothing wrong with taking contested twos, but you can't allow them to camp out behind the three. They'll hurt you.
Gonzaga brings in Sam Dower, who's a sophomore from Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, and Mike Hart, who's a junior from Portland, Oregon. Harold Chuck Bryant. And this is Dominic Rutledge, who's in for the first time now for the Mountaineers. Rutledge takes it inside, and you'll take a look at all those scores. A lot of activity in this round of 64. You see the various networks that are carrying those games. Every game seen wire to wire nationally on our family of stations. Rutledge and out to Bryant and Trump for three. Sacre pushing off, and he was shoved on the play himself by Dominic Rutledge, who picks up the personal foul. That's the first on him.
Yeah, Sacre takes up a lot of space with that frame. When you watch Daryl Truck Bryant take those jump shots, it's very an unconventional release, but he has a pretty good follow through.
Three triples so far for Gonzaga. This is Hart. Dancing with Brown, off the bell, shot clock at 15.
Boy, Robert Sacre doing a lot of bouncing around outside. He's the kind of guy that's more effective offensively in the post.
Dower against Kevin Jones, and Jones gets the rebound. He led the Big East in rebounding, 11 a game. That was 5th best in college basketball overall.
See if they can try to get Kevin Jones going a little bit. He made his first shot, leading scorer here for West Virginia.
Gary Brown with the first three, getting the start. He is the best three-point shooter for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, he's been able to get good looks, and I think that's why Bob Huggins has got these three guards out there.
Look at Pangos drive and find two. He is the West Coast Conference Newcomer of the Year. And he has started 3 of 3 with 7 points, and the foul goes on Jones.
Well,
Good, Reg.
Brown got behind him after he made the shot, and he should have been in front of him to allow him not to get that head of steam going forward.
Yeah, the point I was going to make just from the beginning, West Virginia's got to be cognizant. Ball goes through the net. Gonzaga is back at you as quickly as possible. You cannot sit there and celebrate one moment.
Sacre checks off. Ryan Spangler, who's a freshman from Blanchard, Oklahoma, will come in for the Bulldogs. We've won 4 of 5 coming in.
Since we got a West Coast team here, man, I'm giving you deference. First call.
Keaton Miles will check in. Taking a breather is the freshman Aaron Brown.
Look at the pressure here by Gonzaga.
Got to get across, and they do with Gary Brown to Bryant on the fly.
That's a tough shot there.
Yeah, I think he thought he was going to beat the defender, and the defender held his ground, didn't allow him to turn the corner.
Gonzaga an early 5-rebound advantage in the game. Bell, little crack there, and he goes through. Rebound yanked down by Rutledge. Bryant to Brown, Rutledge.
Gonzaga doing a nice job of closing on the shooters. Good ball movement by West Virginia, though.
Kevin Jones. Dower defending. Rutledge taken away with 5 on the shot clock.
Good hands there by Dower.
Spangler goes ahead and bodies fall. With 13:11 to play, the foul goes on Spangler for the first time. Get exclusive in-game video highlights. Up to the minute scores and stats of all NCAA March Madness games at your address for college basketball, NCAA.com. David Stockton has checked in for Gonzaga. He, of course, that familiar last name, the son of John, the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Famer. Looks a little like his dad, doesn't he?
Not quite as big.
Well, how big did you think John was?
Oh, when I say big, I was talking about more width. Well, I never played against him. I was gone by then.
But you admired him from afar.
Oh, no question about it.
He was as good as there's been. Brown.
Yeah, I like this. Try to get the ball down to the Kalichla. He's got the size advantage. Pretty nifty down there, going right or going left.
Spangler picks up his second, so he'll take a quick exit. Robert Sacre, we mentioned this before, the West Coast Conference Defensive Player of the Year. He is out of North Vancouver, British Columbia.
Mark Few looking to continue to match up. Doesn't want his second-line guys playing against West Virginia's first-line guys. Kalichla back in the game, so Sacre.
Kalichla draws a crowd.
It's a good double down low by David Stockton.
Is that not a double dribble?
Jabari Hines can't get it. Kevin Jones in there cleaning up, and a foul on Gonzaga.
Looked like Kalichla put it on the floor, picked it up, and then made another move.
You were distracted by his beard. That was the problem. Kevin Jones at the line. We talked to Bob Huggins yesterday, the longtime coach of the Mountaineers and in college basketball, and he just couldn't say enough about this kid. He stuck around. You know, they lost 5 seniors on this Mountaineer team. Jones decided to stay out of Mount Vernon, New York. He's had a wonderful senior season.
Yeah, it pays off for him to become the feature guy, if you will, and to show off his talents instead of playing kind of second fiddle to those seniors. And Kevin Jones really blossomed this year. You look at his numbers, unbelievable in the Big East.
Yeah, you talk about points and rebounds. Only 3 other guys have done that in Big East history: Walter Berry and Troy Murphy. So you're pretty good company. You're added to that list.
Berry at St. John's back in the late 80s, and Murphy at Notre Dame back in the late 90s. A lot of pressure here on Mike Hart. Out to Stockton, looking for Sacre. The deflection and picked up by Kalichla.
Yeah, Stockton could have put it on the floor 1 or 2 dribbles and gotten a better angle to throw it into Sacre.
Jones with Sacre right there. Tough fadeaway. Stockton, Kalichwa, and Brown.
Well, Soccer surprised me with his ability to play the perimeter. That's where Kevin Jones wants to take him.
Keaton Miles launching at the line and picked up by Bell.
Big 7-footer's got some quick feet and moving them well.
Good point. Bell on the fly. Counted for 2. It goes to Bell and a timeout in Pittsburgh.
Back in Pittsburgh, the Gonzaga players are playing with heavy hearts today and also a little extra motivation from their biggest fan, Brandon Chastain, an 11-year-old who was, by all regards, the biggest fan of Gonzaga all. He would come to the games, and they went to see him the day after Thanksgiving, and they also brought him into the locker room. They spent extra time with him, and they really loved on the kid this year. This morning, Mark Few got word that Brandon Chastain passed away at 6:45 this morning. Now, Mark told me he debated on whether to tell the team today or not, and he said, you know what, I wanted to. Pre-game meal, he told everybody after a quick prayer, they dedicated the season to Brandon's memory, who again passed away at 11 years old this morning after suffering from brain cancer. Kevin?
Thank you, Marty.
It's tough.
Well, our heartfelt condolences go out to Kevin's family. This
Absolutely.
is just a reminder to place all this stuff in perspective, man. This is just a game.
Gary Bell Jr. at the free throw line for Gonzaga. Kalichwa collects the loose ball. Gonzaga has a rebounding advantage of 3. So far, the Zags are shooting 60%, 31% shooting for West Virginia so far. They were going for Kalichwa. The ball was deflected, and Bryant gets it back to Kalichwa. Again across the lane, or at least attempting to go that way with a shove and a foul. The new player in is Gilandri Eddy. For the Gonzaga Bulldogs, Dower will pick up his second personal foul.
Certainly, Kalichwa is capable of making that left-handed hook, but if you're Gonzaga, you got to be able to live with that,
Well, that's
especially
his
being
shot.
defended.
That's his shot. What you need to do is push him off the mark another step out and not allow him to get in a comfort zone.
Mentioned before, is from Istanbul, Turkey. He was a member of the 2010 Turkish national team. He started at both center and forward for Bob Huggins' Mountaineers as the season has gone on.
Yeah, and again, you look at that rugged body and his ability to get involved. That's why he was nicknamed by the West Virginia radio folks the Istanbul.
Yet he's a gentle guy as well. He has a softer side. He plays the guitar, and at their first practice in front of a jam-packed arena, he played some songs on the guitar. So
my understanding, he's self-taught too. So
wow.
Pretty bright guy. Also learned English from watching television.
And you say that he has a soft heart kind of guy. I'm sure there's a lot of power forwards and centers that don't share that same sentiment.
Say otherwise.
You guys,
yeah. 55% free throw shooter is Dennis Kalichwa. And the rebound was grabbed inside by Ryan Spangler. He's got a couple of early fouls, shoved down the plate. And the foul goes on Keaton Miles.
I'll tell you what, West Virginia they're trying to assert themselves playing some Big East basketball, playing some physical brand inside the trenches, as I said, but right now, they're not getting the best of it.
Stockton. Pangos. Spangler and Stockton. Nice defense by the Mountaineers. They go inside to Sacre, and then he scoops it home with Spangler right on the doorstep, but he couldn't make it go. TNT this summer. The end is just the beginning. From TNT and DreamWorks Television, Falling Skies. For the latest on the new season, like us on Facebook.
Good interior pass there by Sacre to Spangler. Got to be able to finish that when you're point blank at the rim.
Eddy. Stockton for 3. Wow, right down the middle. David Stockton, a 39% three-point shooter, and Gonzaga is on an 8-1 run.
And for a guy that accurate, he had far too much time, far too much daylight. West Virginia's going to have to tighten up beyond the arc.
9-point lead is the biggest tonight for the Bulldogs. Nice move by Hines. Snapping it outside, Aaron Brown. Early release. Oh! Dropping the sledgehammer. Guy Landrietti from Paris, France.
Boy, Kevin Pangos, strong wrist. That was just a snap of the wrist. Perfectly delivered. And the finish.
And now the Lowe's Senior Class Award. Ronald Norred was a member of Butler's back-to-back Final Four teams. He also coaches a youth basketball team and volunteers at a local soup kitchen. Vote for the nation's most outstanding senior student athlete at seniorclassaward.com.
Ernie Johnson in New York, All-State March Mayhem update. Right now on TBS, they've gone to the half, an 11-1 run to cap the first 20 minutes. Anthony Davis of Kentucky has 5 points, 3 blocks. They have a healthy lead over the Hilltoppers. Back to you, Kev.
EJ, thank you so much. Gonzaga here on a 10-1 run. West Virginia has missed 5 consecutive shots.
Well, they've been pushed to the limit right here as Gonzaga looking to extend their defense. And they're certainly doing a good job on the perimeter, making shots difficult for West Virginia.
And they slowed them down. They haven't been able to get anything in transition.
Chuck Bryant back in the game for the Mountaineers. The 2 freshman guards back there, and here's the senior Bryant to Kolichwa. Eddie with the rebound.
I'm giving him that shot all day, Lynn. I'm sorry. I know you say he's capable of making it, but you got to be able to live with that.
Okay.
Sacre was jousting with Kolichwa. A foul called on Dennis, who picks up his first personal foul for West Virginia.
Boy, Gonzaga really attacking methodically. They're going to hot hands. And now that they've got this lead, 11-point lead, they're able to get Robert Sacre more involved in the offense. They're looking to get him an opportunity.
Paul Williamson checks in. Good 3-point shooter. The drive inside by Pangos.
He is impressive, man.
Pangos has been fantastic in this first half tonight. Outside, taking the ball off the dribble, getting into the paint. Good body and ball control.
4 of 4 from the field for the Zags.
Well, I'm impressed with his judgment right here. He knows exactly what to do with it when he gets it, no hesitation. And that's coming from a freshman.
Knocked away by David Stockton. He'll lead the break, and they've got numbers. Little 3-on-2 against Kolichwa. Stockton, whose dad, John, is sitting right in back of the bench. There he is, watching his son play. You can only imagine, you know, the pressure on a kid with that kind of name and that kind of pedigree. His dad, as great as he was, but you know what? He was a starter last year as a freshman. He's a terrific contributor to the team and playing where his dad played college basketball.
Well, you call it pressure, but think about the basketball history and everything he's been around and all the players he's been around. That's been fantastic for David Stockton. All the great players that he's had a chance to be involved with. You look like on that steal right there, he was able to kind of look like John a little bit right there, the all-time NBA steals leader.
Yeah, but not as big. No, David's listed at 5'11". I think John Stockton's, what, 6'1"?
On a good day.
Yeah, on a good day.
On a good day.
There goes Stockton checking off.
Meanwhile, Robert Sacre's got a different motor running. Here they are playing the game, shooting free
He's over here talking to
and
me.
he wants to come over here and start a conversation with Reggie Miller.
He's loose. Gary Bell Jr. has checked back in the game for Gonzaga.
But you can't complain because he's doing a heck of a job on Kevin Jones right now. Look at him defending him on the perimeter. Kevin Jones should be having his way.
Dominic Rutledge to Chuck Bryant for the triple. And picked up by Pangos. Ahead for Bell. That's a triple. Another 3 for Gonzaga. They're on a 16-1 run. They've got the stroke tonight.
Daddy, where's Brutus sleepy tonight?
In his doghouse, honey, like he always does.
But Mommy said you were.
Infinity Personal Assistant, how may I assist you, Mr. Cole?
Yes, I forgot my anniversary. Any chance you can get me into Veneto tonight?
Not a problem. 7:30?
Yeah, that's great.
Sending directions now.
Introducing the Infiniti JX, the only car in America with a complimentary live personal assistant available anytime, anywhere. Infiniti, inspired performance.
Well, I'm glad we're putting this up, the tournament summary. The Big East so far, 4-0, though Syracuse was pushed by 16th seed Asheville here earlier in Pittsburgh, but the higher seeds so far undefeated.
Well, it doesn't matter if you win by half a point. If you're Syracuse, you got that first game underneath your belt, and you move on to Saturday versus Kansas State.
Bryant having trouble. They call the tie-up. Jumping all over it was Pangos on Bryant.
If you're Coach Huggins, you call a timeout to settle down your group. Coming out of that timeout, that's something you don't want to see. A turnover unforced.
Lenny, you saw a lot of West Virginia. They started the season 15-5, then staggered toward the finish. In the last 12 games, 4-8. What were some of their issues that you saw?
Well, I think a lot of the issues had to do, again, with the fact that, you know, they weren't playing offense as well as they had earlier in the season. They obviously met with stiffer competition in their Big East competition, but in the end, right now, they're getting overwhelmed. I haven't seen this against a Bob Huggins team before, but they're overwhelmed right now.
West Virginia has not scored from the field in over 6.5 minutes. Kolichla tossing in a beauty right there. They need more of that. Timeout.
Coverage of the NCAA men's basketball tournament is sponsored by Northwestern Mutual, Buick, and by Fidelity Investments.
A lot of interesting numbers so far. Plus 12 three-point shooting for Gonzaga. Plus 8 in the rebounding category. And that wonderful 10 of 15 shooting from the floor.
Well, stretching the floor with that three-point shooting. You see the advantage in rebounds, a +8. But to me, it's the beautiful game of pushing the tempo, spotting up behind the three, and controlling the pace.
And as I mentioned, I thought West Virginia would try to make this a game that's won or lost in the trenches, but I believe they have underestimated the quickness of Gonzaga. You know, you can't lean on or push what you can't catch.
Outside they go to Williamson. And retrieved by Rutledge, who finds all kinds of traffic in a very cramped area.
We talk about the beautiful game of Gonzaga in transition. On the season, they're shooting 38% from long distance. Tonight, they're 5 of 6. And coming from a number of guys just wide open three-point shooting for the Bulldogs.
This is a Gonzaga team with a lot of NCAA tournament experience. 9 current Bulldog players have a combined 23 NCAA tournament appearances. And for West Virginia, the number is much smaller.
Yeah, that's because this is the 14th consecutive NCAA tournament appearance by Gonzaga. This program understands what it takes to get to the NCAA tournament.
Gary Brown with the miss. Pangos.
Look at that quickness right there. Just gets to the paint.
That's Guy Landrietti. Little shove and another tie-up.
Yeah, but at this end, West Virginia is getting one look at the basket, and that's it.
So Kolichla's down low. Kevin Jones on the floor. Williamson down low. Here is Hines, a freshman. He's back there with the senior Bryant. That's the Mountaineer 5. 46% three-point shooter, and Williamson can't hit. Spangler's got it. Here comes Pangos. Sacre is in the contest. Eddie is on the floor. And Bell. Landrietti. Williamson the rebound. West Virginia 10 consecutive misses until right there, broken by Kevin Jones. Getting it inside, manufacturing the deuce.
Yeah, that's a good pass there by Hines in transition. And Jones just run down the middle and get the ball.
At that time, Kevin Jones caught Robert Sacre sleeping. Just a step is all he needed.
First basket from the floor for West Virginia in about 8 minutes. Eddie. Bell into Williamson over Kolichla. That's a tough shot. He's got 10.
Constantly Gonzaga attempting to get in the paint either off the bounce or with passes. And once you get in the paint, you're putting all sorts of pressure on your opponent.
20 of the 29 points coming from the freshman backcourt of Gonzaga.
Bryant, the double team Jones, trying to twist his way free and finally does. That was a tough shot. He was in a torture chamber down low. He's got 7.
He can give it to you in a number of ways. He can post up, or he can step behind that arc and knock it down.
Sacre. Here comes Jabari Hines from Mount Vernon, New York, a freshman. Good crossover. And a foul. That will go on Guy Landry Eddy, who picks up his first, and coming up on the AT&T at the half, scores and highlights. And of course, the latest NCAA tournament news. That's all coming up on the AT&T at the half. A busy first day of the NCAA tournament, or should I say second round, with our first 4 in Dayton. All 4 teams we saw over the course of a couple days. 4 on Tuesday, 4 on Wednesday, and here they go advancing.
You're Bob Huggins, and you're down 15 points. Just a little over 5 minutes left in this first half. You would like to get this to a 9 or 10 point going into halftime. Settle down your troop.
Jabari Hines, leading assist man on this team, rebound by Bell.
Miss both of them. Can't afford to miss the free opportunities when you're getting beaten like this.
Yeah.
Under 5 to play here in the first half from Pittsburgh. Good screen by Spangler. Sets up the long rainbow, which was put down by Kevin Pangos. He's got 13 points. He is 5 of 5.
Yeah, he's one of the better freshmen you're going to see in the country. Just good balance on that jump shot. Seems like he always plays under control.
This is Kevin Jones for 3. Bell with the rebound. Rutledge the ball. Bryant into Bell. With the rebound inside by Spangler.
Now, when you take a look at that shot, maybe Chuck Bryant thought that his rebounders were going to trail and get in there. But when he took that shot, there were 4 white shirts in the paint, no blue shirts whatsoever.
Dower. And a timeout, and 3:59 to play in the first half. We're back in Pittsburgh with the Powerade Sideline Report and Marty Snyder.
Well, Kevin, when people talk about Dennis Kalichli, they talk about his play and also his facial hair. From July of last year to January of this year, he let the facial hair grow out. And actually, while he was letting it grow out, they had a competition on campus to see who could be the next Mountaineer. Everybody thought he was going out to be the next Mountaineer. He shaved it off in January, and they said, honestly, he looked like a 12-year-old kid, so he started growing it back. This is only a couple weeks growth he's got going on now, guys. That's a pretty scary beard, isn't it?
Well, it's a lot of facial hair, that's for darn sure. Nice player. He's filled a role for this team. Kevin Jones, Chuck Bryant, and Gary Brown. Aaron Brown in the game as well. And inside for Brown. Rebound by Spangler.
Great executed play right there at the back screen to get Brown wide open for that alley-oop. Just couldn't put it in.
Gonzaga on threes. 6 of 8, that's 75%, but for the game, 57% shooting. Pangos for 3, the tip-in try. Sacre, count it, and a foul.
Robert Sacre, the energy inside. You see the wide open shot there by Pangos, keeping the ball alive, and then Sacre just using that size and strength down low to get the and one to go.
Rutledge picked up his second personal foul for the Mountaineers. Here is Sacre at the line, a 76% free throw shooter. That's sure a bonus when your big man can hit the free throws, except that one was a little bit shy.
And Mike Hart keeping the ball alive, and his aggressive play for Gonzaga has been huge off the bench for Coach Hugh.
This 20-point lead for Gonzaga is their biggest tonight. Kevin Jones over Sacre.
soccer has been a real obstacle for Kevin Jones. Not often he sees a 7-footer out there on the perimeter challenging his shot.
Sacre comes up with the rebound. He's got 5. Bell, Sacre, and they go to Hart. With the rebound, pulled down by Aaron Brown. He made the start tonight. Gary Brown, and a whistle. Well, around the country, some names that have taken the spotlight, been at center stage. Rodney Magruder for Kansas State. John Jenkins for the Commodores of Vanderbilt. And Jay Crowder for Marquette, one of the most versatile players in all of college basketball. He was the Big East Player of the Year.
25 and 16, going out and showing why.
Yeah,
he was in the running along with it. You see Kevin Jones for that Big East Player of the Year.
Yeah, earlier in the season, it was his teammate, Darius Johnson-Odom, that everybody expected to be in that running, but Jay Crowder just emerged, especially when Marquette lost their big man. Jay Crowder had to do a little bit of everything, and boy, has he been impressive.
He's a junior college transfer, and he's a guy that can guard point guards as effectively as he can guard guys on that front line.
And he can shoot the 3 as effectively as he can post up.
You're right. Very impressive player for Buzz Williams and the Golden Eagles of Marquette. Bell from Pangos, inside Sacre.
No foul?
Not as you say, you hear a whistle.
Wow. Bodies are colliding here as Spangler was going after the loose ball.
Looked like they got a piece of Sacre's wrist and not the ball, but maybe it was all ball. Nah, that was wrist. They missed that. Big fella didn't complain, though. I guess he's hoping he gets his chance on the other end.
Well, over on True TV, South Dakota State pulling a bit of a surprise on Big 12 Baylor. Plus, you see the other games going on our networks, CBS, TNT tonight here in Pittsburgh, TBS and True TV. Every game live and coast to coast. South Dakota State won the Summit League.
Talk about Hart. How about Spangler off the bench for Gonzaga? All the little hustle things for Mark Few, where all the praise goes to Bell and Pangos.
Gary Brown takes it into the teeth of that Gonzaga defense and a foul with just under 2 to play here in the first half.
Yeah, West Virginia's got to recognize that if Kevin Jones is going to be stymied by some solid defense, other people are going to have to step up.
Here's Gary Brown from Puerto Rico. A handful of starts. One of 5 freshmen in college basketball with a good number of rebounds and assists over a certain number. And see real stories of human achievement featured on the Buick Human Highlight Reel. It's all at the address ncaa.com/Buick.
West Virginia only 3 of 9 from the free throw line.
Here comes Pangos. Pangos was the leading freshman scorer in the West Coast Conference as well.
It was a battle all year in that West Coast with them in St. Mary's.
Sacre inside. Yeah, they lost to St. Mary's in the West Coast Conference title game. And Elias Harris in that contest had 22 points and 13 rebounds for the Bulldogs.
Right now with 2 fouls, Harris relegated to bench duty probably for the remainder of the half. Considering the score, obviously Mark Few can breathe a sigh of relief that he doesn't necessarily need him.
Harris is number 20 in all-time scoring for the Gonzaga program. 4 points ahead of him, John Stockton. Once again, Gary Brown at the free throw line. West Virginia losing in the opening round of the Big East tournament in overtime to UConn. Gary putting that in. Ohio State, Loyola, Maryland is coming up next year in Pittsburgh. It'll be the 4th and final game of the evening.
How fired up was Jimmy Patsos yesterday during practice? Relishing in the opportunity to go against Ohio State.
Having known Jimmy, he was relaxed. Tonight, you're going to see fired up.
I thought he was fired up at practice.
And he was pretty relaxed by comparison to what you'll see at game time.
He's full of personality, isn't he?
No question. Well, he's a former bartender, you know. That's how he made his contacts. And obviously, you have to be a type A personality to be a good bartender. You make a living that way.
Oh, wait a minute now. Hold on. Here comes Sacre. He was in the clutches of a couple defenders.
Come on, if you're not outgoing as a professional mixer, you're not getting any tips, man.
That's right. You got to show some back and forth with your customers. Brown picks it up. Sacre. You know, Sacre would be a pretty good. He's got a lot of personality in him, doesn't he, huh?
Oh, he certainly does.
Bartender or bouncer, one of the two.
One of the two. He'd be a good bouncer. He's number 2 all-time block shots for Gonzaga program. 11 consecutive conference titles.
Conference Defensive Player of the Year. He takes up a lot of space. He's got good timing.
Gonzaga, a 7th seed coming into this tournament. They were an 11th seed a year ago. They were a number 8 seed back in 2010.
Yeah, if you ask any coach, going against a Mark Few Gonzaga team, well coached, they're very disciplined, they have a style, and they stick to it. Always a tough out.
Yeah, in this three-quarter zone pressure that they have, designed primarily to slow West Virginia down and make them think, get them out of rhythm.
College law.
And for the most part this evening, it has worked to perfection.
We mentioned earlier the Big East team to do that. Showing that consistency. This is Huggins' 5th year. Came from Kansas State. 5 consecutive NCAA tournament appearances.
Well, Bob Huggins has extended what John Beilein started as far as these NCAA appearances, and West Virginia's become the model of consistency in the Big East.
Well, at halftime, he's going to have to talk to his team. They're going to have to speed up this game. Because the only way you're going to speed it up is you've got to get stops and get out in transition.
Gonzaga with a timeout. Well, in this 2012 NCAA tournament, a lot of father-son.
They play Kansas as well as, you're talking about Creighton and Doug McDermott, one of the best scorers in college basketball.
Creighton will take on Vermont.
Creighton get by their first-round game. That sets up an interesting match, possibly with North Carolina and Harrison Barnes and McDermott, former teammates. Iowa in high school.
Marquise Carter is coming for the Gonzaga Bulldogs with a drive inside by Gary Bell Jr. and a foul going on Aaron Brown.
And as I said before, West Virginia now, they're in the game, they understand it. But I think in the beginning, the quickness of Gonzaga, the aggressiveness of Gonzaga took them by surprise and allowed Gonzaga to vault out to this lead. Now reality is set in and West Virginia's got to find an answer.
And another thing, they can't utilize this crowd here. That's pro-West Virginia, only being an hour away. A lot of fans here, but they've been real quiet because of the run of Gonzaga.
Yeah, there's a very nice crowd inside this building here in downtown Pittsburgh, a building that's only a couple years old.
Very few empty seats.
Yeah. Final seconds here in the first half. Jabari Hines will bring it. With the defense of Pangos, freshman against freshman. Bryant. Hines, and that is a whistle. Pangos will pick up his first personal foul. We were talking to Mark Few yesterday about his program, and it really is not only a national program, but an international program. We'll talk more about that part in the second half, but he's had chances to leave. And to other locales around the country, he has chosen to stay. Loves the outdoors, loves the support from the university, and loves the kind of kid that is attracted to a school like that.
Well, look at Gary Bell Jr. He was recruited by USC, UCLA, Washington State. There was a number of, programs he could have gone to, but wanted to go to the system of Gonzaga, and He led by Marquis.
Marquise Carter on the fly. And 0.5 on the first half clock, and out of bounds it goes. Mike Hart may be the last to touch it. Truck Bryant will inbound. Now they're going to switch with Jabari Hines, who's been a starter all season. Knocked away by Spangler. So for Gonzaga, 13 points from Pangos. He was 5 of 6 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3. Also a nice first half from Gary Bell with 12 points and 4 rebounds. And 25 and 6 and 7th seeded Gonzaga with a commanding halftime lead of 40-22. The lead has been huge most of this first half. As we take you to Marty Snyder.
Well, Mark, can you imagine a better offensive first half for your team?
Yeah, I mean, we shot it good. We didn't quite get the ball inside as much as I'd prefer, but we made a lot of shots, which those guys can do. I thought we played great defense in the first half, but as we've seen in so many of these tournament games so far, that's only 20 minutes. We gotta bring it the same intensity and same concepts in the second half.
Kevin, I would say they shot it pretty well, wouldn't you?
I would agree. They were terrific. 50% from the field, 6 of 10 from beyond the arc. That's the end of the first half, with Gonzaga leading West Virginia 40-22. We'll send you to the AT&T at the half after these messages. You're watching the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship.
AT&T at the half is sponsored by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. We think possible.
Guy, Landry, Eddy breaking away from the Mountaineers. An easy bucket there. There were a lot of them for Gonzaga. An 18-point lead as the Zags are playing like a team that has been to the NCAA tournament 14 straight years. Here's a look at the fourth window tonight, including the national champs back on the floor against Iowa State on TBS. Here on TNT, you'll see Loyola and Ohio State. The Buckeyes and Greyhounds will tip a little after 9:50 or so Eastern time. And the last tip of the day, Colorado representing the Pac-12 for the first time against UNLV on True TV. Look at what is happening right now with the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State all over the Baylor Bears.
Seth is going to be a sage.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
We're smiling,
Do not talk to a pitcher. Nobody talk. Next game.
Happening right now on True TV. Kentucky all over Western Kentucky on TBS. AT&T.
I picked that one. I picked that one.
In Kentucky?
Yeah.
Now that's a sage.
Really went way out on a limb there. Nice going out of you. Seth, Matt, Steve, Coach Jay Wright with us as well. Gonzaga leads it 40-22 at the break. The Mountaineers just can't get anything done on offense close to home.
Honestly, I'm not saying it just because I'm a Big East guy that I picked these guys. I'm telling you, they're close to home. They're an hour and a half from home. One thing I did forget, there were a couple games this year where West Virginia just couldn't buy a bucket. But I want to say this. We said Truck Bryant had to be the best point guard on Florida to play like a senior point guard, and he's not. He's 0 for 5, and Pangos is playing great. And we said Kevin Jones had to be the best big man, and he's not. There's Truck. He just can't hit. Hugs texted me, Truck Robinson, what the heck are you? Come on, Hugs, you got to get to him at halftime, man. My man's got to step up. You got to step up. But I want to say this. Gonzaga, they are playing like dogs, and I mean that in a complimentary way. They are eating gunpowder and eating dog food. They are killing. They are tough.
You've been watching them, and over the years, they always play tough. And I got a chance to see them against Michigan State. That was an unbelievable game. They went at it. They have great guards, freshman guards, and then David Stockton backing them up. They have guards. They run their offense, and you can see Mark Few has those guys running disciplined offense, and their bigs are bigs, like you say, that are tough, and they want to bang.
You called that. You tell them about your boy up there. Tell your boy up there.
Judd Heath goes up there.
Judd, I see a little Judd in this. These guys are impressive.
Well, it's amazing when the ball goes in the basket. It's pretty simple. It's kind of like rolling in, nice 10, 15-foot putts in golf. You look at Gonzaga, they're 6 for 10 from 3. West Virginia's 1 for 10 from 3. They're actually ranked 15th this year in the Big East from three-point range. They only shoot 30%.
Putting the ball in the basket.
What's that?
Putting and putting the ball in the basket.
Well, look at them. I don't know what kind of putter you are. I know what kind of shooter that you were. But, if the ball goes in, everything flows from there. And West Virginia has not been a good outside shooting team this year. They needed to muck up this game and really do to Gonzaga what Gonzaga's doing to them, which is, do it on the defensive end and then let the offensive efficiency fall into place. Because West Virginia has not been a good offensive team all season long.
You're right, but they've always been a physical team. And
Right.
Sacre and Spangler are beating them up, man. These guys, like I said, they are impressive. They are dogs.
West
Good
Virginia
dogs.
is
Bulldogs.
6 of 26
Bulldogs.
from the field so far, and it's part of a trend, to your point. Last 2 games, they shot 35% and 29% coming into the tournament. Maybe they'd be better off shooting that musket the guy has over on the sideline. Maybe Kalichkala could swap spots with him and try that out.
Imagine when you play down there and you're greeted by those two when you walk in.
Maybe he should shave at halftime. Switch things up a little bit.
Also a thought. 1999, the year it all began for Gonzaga. Really, the phenomenon began for Gonzaga when Gonzaga became, Gonzaga. Now everybody else is the new Gonzaga. They beat Florida in the Sweet 16. Casey Cavalry put up the foul with 4.4 left to give them the lead, and they won it 73-72. You can catch moments like that no matter whether you're on your couch or out and about with March Madness Live. Every game live on your computer, iPad, iPhone, or Android phone. With March Madness Live, get started by visiting ncaa.com/March Madness. If you'd like to hear from any of those people, how many have we just circled all of them? Did that just happen?
Where's my circle?
Somebody gets. People are getting crossed out all of a sudden. You took out Eckersley.
We'll take them all out.
The basketball guys. You want to hear from the experts on the sports they cover. Smitty and his basketball brethren. SI.com/behind the mic. Harvard and Vanderbilt. The Crimson back in the dance for the first time since the Truman administration. Laurent Rivard. Trey.
And
one. And one. I took Spanish. I don't remember what 4 is. Brad Tinsley makes a three-pointer as the first half expires. This Vandy team can shoot the basketball. They go on a 16-3 run. They're up 10 at that point. John Jenkins. Did I mention that Vandy can shoot the basketball?
Did you mention John Jenkins can really shoot the basketball?
Really shoot it and really put it on the deck, by the way. How about 10 for 13 from the foul line? You think of John Jenkins as a pure three-point shooter. At Vanderbilt, that's Jeffrey Taylor getting up, but had lost in the first round the last couple of years, and a lot of people coming into the season, well, they're soft, they're a country club team. I feel like they cultivated their defensive identity as the season went on, getting Festus Ezeli healthy at the center spot as a senior was pretty big. Harvard made a nice run at them. That was Oliver McNally, but Vandy was never really and truly threatened in this one, and they coast on to the next round.
Brandon Curry with the layup there. Harvard trying to hang around, down by 9. This is a weird play. Curry loses it. McNally tries to throw it off Dejan Parker. No whistle. Ball actually remains in bounds, and they go the other way and retain possession and put it away. Watch this bounce.
Was he out of bounds?
Wow.
I don't think the ball ever went out.
No, ball never went out. It never touched anybody.
That was a strange play.
Really? Oh, I told you.
Harvard beat Florida State. I mean, they need to get somebody in here that they could out-execute or have a chance. Vandy's executes just as well as they do, and they got a SEC-type athlete. It's the worst matchup for I actually agree with Charles. I can't believe it, but I wish they each would have played somebody else.
You got to play somebody. I got a feeling, by the way, it's not going to be another 46 years till Harvard gets back in the tournament.
By the way, best tournament game of John Jenkins' career. He's shooting 58% for his NCAA tournament career so far. 8th 25-point game of the season so far. The Jackrabbits are now trailing the Dayglow Bears.
Didn't I tell you not to mention this?
I'm obligated to mention either way.
Baylor settled down. I mean, South Dakota State came out firing, and
those uniforms, they're not settled.
They are hard to miss on True TV right now.
This telecast is copyrighted by the NCAA for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any picture, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NCAA's consent is prohibited.
You know what? We run a lot of tweets, but anything Magic Johnson has to say is okay by us.
Where'd he go to school, Seth?
So excited to have March Madness
Johnson
underway.
Is the second best Spartan of all time. Number 2.
That's number 1?
Man on my list.
There is Spartan.
There we go.
I didn't even go there.
Keith Appling, Persian High School. Sporting coming off the screen.
Yeah.
Easy, I got this, man.
Okay.
Brandon Dawson towards ACL. There he is, the leader. Draymond Green. Derek Nix, the big fella from my high school. What time tomorrow?
9:20 Eastern time. The Michigan State Spartans take on the
Pacific time?
Blackbirds.
Pacific time?
6:20 Pacific.
In Hawaii, Matt?
I believe it would be 4:20, right? Another 2 hours? I think. I don't know. Anyway, you'll check.
AT&T at the Half is sponsored by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. Rethink possible. Coverage of the NCAA men's basketball tournament is sponsored by Miller Lite, Autotrader.com, TD Ameritrade, and by Vitamin Water.
Welcome back to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Gonzaga is led by as many as 20 points. Up now 40-22 at halftime with Reggie Miller and Lenny Elmore, Kevin Harlan. Interesting first half. A lot of individual performances worth noting.
Well, Kevin Pangos, who averages 14 points on the season, already 13 tonight, getting them done in transition. We talked about him being able to control the tempo and pace, which was going to be key for the Bulldogs in transition, knocking down the long three. His ability to get to the rim has been huge.
Well, as inefficient as West Virginia has been, a lot of it is attributed to the defense. 1 of 10 from beyond the arc, and every shot has been challenged as the quick players from Gonzaga have closed and put hands up and made it real difficult.
As we take a look behind the stats presented by LG. Individual numbers. But the 23% shooting of West Virginia. Gonzaga is plus 15 points from shooting beyond the arc. They've had 6 more rebounds than the Mountaineers. Points in the paint, plus 8 easy points, plus 6 Marty Snyder and second chance points.
Kevin talked to that man, Bob Huggins. He told his team, number one, why don't we try guarding someone in this half? He said, we also got no rebounds. He said, we don't shoot well traditionally. When you don't shoot well, you have to guard and rebound. We didn't do either. I asked him if Truck Bryant had to get involved. He said, I'd like to see a lot more Kevin Jones, actually, in this half, Kev.
Well, Jones so far, 3 of 7 with 7 points for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, I thought Jay Wright nailed it at halftime. I agree. With Marty, I think Truck Bryant has to get going. 0 of 5 from the field, 0 points. He's got to be the best guard out here on the floor, and thus far it's been Kevin Pangos.
Elias Harris missed that shot for the Bulldogs.
Well, if Truck Bryant is effective, that's going to make Kevin Jones more effective.
Correct.
Right now, the pressure is on Kevin Jones to generate offense.
Jabari Hines out to Truck Bryant. Kevin Jones is out there, also on the floor. Aaron Brown, Kalichwa inside as he works and schools Elias Harris. 6 points for Kalichwa.
And that time, Kalichwa able to set up with 2 feet in the paint, get a lot closer to the rim than he was in the first half, where he missed a number of those left-handed hooks.
So what was the look for afterwards when I said I would give him those all day?
I don't know if you want to give it to him all day once he gets started.
Harris puts it in. He's had 6 double-doubles the last 9 games for Gonzaga.
And you can't trade baskets with the Bulldogs if you're Bob Huggins. That's exactly what he addressed his team at halftime. You're going to have to get some stops, try to get some easy ones in transition. The only way you're going to carve into this lead.
You know, they've gotten to the free throw line, 9 of 16. It's 6 more free throw attempts than Gonzaga. But we're talking about Dennis Kalichwa. Once again, look at him set up. Harris can't push him out of that paint, and he's a heck of a lot closer to the rim than he was in the first half.
Sacre picks up his 2nd personal foul. The Bulldogs of Gonzaga, number 7 seed against the 10th seeded Mountaineers of West Virginia. Picked up by Landry Eddy, who will take it the other way.
Very raw offensively, but very talented defensively, coming up with the steal there and able to handle the basketball in transition.
Spent most of his childhood in Paris, France. Junior college transfer to the Gonzaga program. Kalichwa, good entry pass from the perimeter.
Yeah, Elias Harris has 2 fouls on him. So So he doesn't seem to be as aggressive defensively as he probably should be. And Dennis Kalichla is taking advantage of him.
And here is Harris, bringing Kalichla outside the lane in a foul. Well, here's the East bracket. The foul goes on Aaron Brown of West Virginia. The winner here will play the winner of Ohio State, Loyola Maryland, who's coming up next here on TNT. Right now, the first portion is set. Syracuse against Kansas State. Here's Harris at the line.
Elias Harris, when he first came to this program, he was a surprise to a lot of people. Had a number of 30-point games, real offensive-minded player. He's more or less blended in over the last couple of years. Hasn't been nearly as explosive offensively as he was his freshman year.
Gary Brown to Truck Bryant to Kalichla.
You got to attack if you're West Virginia right now. You just can't be satisfied that you broke that pressure.
Flying in there was Keaton Miles, a freshman from Dallas. Out of bounds. Get coverage of the Division I Women's Basketball Tournament at NCAA.com/Final Four.
Bryant still struggling offensively from the field. He's just a step further out than he would like to be on some of these shots. 5 seconds. Huggins is livid. He had a wide open Bryant coming right off the screen to him.
And again, West Virginia very tentative. And I think again because they just cannot deal with the quickness that Gonzaga is demonstrating defensively. Getting out in the passing lanes, really guarding the cuts and switching on the screens.
Gary Bell, Pangos, Harris, Eddie. Sacre into Kalichla.
Sacre giving Kalichla a taste of his own medicine down low. Just right into the chest. Turn over that right shoulder.
This is the biggest lead for Gonzaga tonight. West Virginia had an early lead of 2. Their deficit at halftime, 18 points for the Mountaineers, the largest halftime deficit this season. Hines. Kevin Jones for 3. And the three-point shooting woes of West Virginia continue. Now 1 of 12. Bryant got tripped up inadvertently by Gary Bell Jr. Bell picks up his second. See other West Coast Conference teams in the NCAAs. There's St. Mary's. They'll take on Purdue from the Big Ten, and BYU is involved. There's Kalichla. They'll take on Marquette. Boston lost to Marquette.
Finally, that's the first basket there by Truck Bryant. Three-pointer.
1 of 7.
It's all about stops now for West Virginia, though. They got to start stringing them together.
Eddie inside and got the leaping Harris, who is covered with defenders. And a foul inside is called on Keaton Miles. He started most of the season, but they did change their lineup tonight. Is Aaron Brown, a freshman guard from Darby, Pennsylvania, made his first start of the season.
Little wardrobe adjustment ordered by the official.
Zaga's also gotten the easy points tonight too. They've hit the long shot, but they've gotten the easy point scoring as well.
Yeah, they've pushed the ball in transition.
Truck Bryant will take it the other way, driving into Bell, knocked loose, picked up DeLandre Eddie. And a second dunk for him.
And another easy basket.
Yeah, that can't happen. I mean, you come up with the stop, you're in transition, and granted, Gonzaga gets a steal, but how do they get a wide open dunk at the other end?
Kalichla on the doorstep, can't put it through. Pangos the other way with numbers, and Eddie. Sacre. This is the biggest lead for Gonzaga. And a timeout taken by West Virginia. They're getting buzzsawed tonight by the Bulldogs of Gonzaga, the 7th seed. A sizable lead most of the game. Guy Landrietti.
Back in Pittsburgh, Gonzaga up big at the moment. You know, this makes 3 of the last 4 years that Gonzaga has been in the East Regional in the NCAA tournament. So what Mark Few does is that he on purpose will schedule games in the Midwest or East Coast in the regular season. This year they went to Illinois. That's about an 1,800-mile trip. To Xavier, that's about a 2,000-mile trip. So the kids are ready for something like this. They said, traveling, that's the least of our worries. We do that all year long, Kevin.
Gets them ready. That's a good report, Marty. Thank you very much. That Mark Few is a smart guy. He's taken this program to great heights. 14 straight appearances in the NCAA tournament. Pangos grazing the iron. Kevin Jones with the rebound. He's got 3. And the other way, Hines trying to carve his way inside. Another timeout in 14:45 in the second half from Pittsburgh. Coming up next here in Pittsburgh and on TNT, the rugged Buckeyes of Ohio State. The big 3 right here, Sullinger, Thomas, and William Buford will be going up against the 15th seed Loyola Maryland Greyhounds from the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, and a team that had their first 20-win season in their Division I history. Terrific season for them, but a tough draw certainly against the Big Ten Buckeyes. Jabari Hines, Kevin Jones, and Keaton Miles. Gary Brown looking for Jones, deflected and taken by Elias Harris.
It's almost like there are 6 defenders out here for Gonzaga. Every time they're trying to throw the ball down low, it's a steal.
Well, everybody in the gym knew that they were trying to get to Kevin Jones. He's setting up, he's fighting for position, and the passer is just staring at him.
Ryan Spangler. And Bell. Right into the defense of Gary Brown. And a foul. TNT this summer. Dig into summer's guiltiest pleasure. Dallas. For the latest on the all-new TNT series, like us on Facebook. Foul will go on Miles, who picks up his 3rd. And at the free throw line here is Gary Bell Jr. from Kentridge High School in Kent, Washington. Gonzaga, as you take a look at the body of work during this season against other teams that made the NCAA tournament, they went 5-4 against those teams. Miles inside with a nice hesitation in the deuce.
And that's what you have to see from West Virginia. The 3-quarter zone press that Gonzaga employed in the first half prevented them from getting advantage breaks. That was a contained press. This one attempted to steal the ball. West Virginia did a nice job taking advantage of the break situation.
I like to see West Virginia kind of do the same thing to Gonzaga a little bit to try to get back in this ball game.
Pangos is picked up by Brown, and here's a long shot by Elias Harris. Another 3. He's got 10. That's his first triple tonight.
7 of 13 from long distance for the Bulldogs. I don't know if he called glass or not, but it counts in Vegas.
Their plus 15 are the Bulldogs of Gonzaga in 3-point shooting tonight. One of many areas where they've got the advantage on the Mountaineers of West Virginia.
And Reggie, to your point, yeah, I'd like to see them pressure as well, but I don't know if the press is, it's in their repertoire. I don't know if it's something that they do well. But more importantly, you got to score to be able to press.
Little travel there by Eddie. Well, they've had some big non-conference win, have the Bulldogs this season. You can see they beat Notre Dame, Oral Roberts, Butler, Xavier, Arizona. All games they can hang their hat on. They lost at Illinois. And then they played Izzo and Michigan State and lost to the Spartans.
Yeah, Oral Roberts should have been a team that should have been in the field, but lost their conference tournament. Had a tremendous season.
As you take a look at the turnover story. Under 13 to play here in the second half. It has not been in doubt for a while. Bryant Kevin Jones trying to get free. Harris on him down low. Bryant decides to take it himself. He was a third-team Big East selection. Darryl Bryant, senior from Brooklyn, went to St. Raymond's High School. And he'll finish his career in the top 15 all-time scorers in West Virginia basketball history. Eddie picks up a foul. And here is Truck Bryant at the line, a 78% free throw shooter. Watch every 2012 March Madness game live on your computer, on your iPhone, on your iPad, or select Android phones with NCAA March Madness Live. Visit ncaa.com/March Madness for more information.
This is like the lineup I like for Gonzaga when you've got David Stockton and Pangos on the floor. Two guys that can generate the offense as well as the break.
They were telling us yesterday that as a freshman, Stockton would really settle down this Gonzaga team.
Yeah, he is one of those kids that certainly understands the game. Obviously, it comes by him honestly. He's got a good feel for being able to run an offense.
Think about some of those backyard games with him and his dad.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Shot clock down to 7.
And you look at West Virginia picking up all over the place.
That's an offensive foul. Pangos will pick up number 2.
It's one of the few times we've seen Gonzaga pretty much out of control. And it's not coincidental that West Virginia applied some pressure.
You know, you build up a lead like this as they have, and they've had it for a good part of the game, Reggie. It would seem to me kind of hard to keep that intensity, keep that focus as you go along.
It's tough, but you want to build winning and good habits. And that's what Mark Few has always hung his hat on, that his team execute and plays a certain way. So, yeah, when you get up 20-plus points, you want to continue to play the same way.
Eddie defending Bryant. Rutledge with a little screen. And the shot clock is down to 9 for the driving Gary Brown. Pangos will pick up another foul. With 11:37 to play, Mark Few and his Bulldogs with the big lead. We were talking a little bit earlier about Syracuse having problems with their graduation rate, and the NCAA is going to institute some new rules next year that will affect a lot of teams. 22 of the last 23 senior members of the West Virginia basketball team have graduated on time or early. I know Bob Huggins has made a priority of that and something to be proud of. There's the senior Kevin Jones. He'll be getting out, and they'll add to those numbers. A class kid from a terrific program.
And that's why you give Bob Huggins and his staff a lot of credit. And you talked about Alin, about this just being a game. There's bigger parts of life, and getting an education is first and foremost of why these kids are at these universities.
Well, Bob Huggins knows firsthand. You know, he was an academic stalwart at West Virginia University when he was a player. So he knows how important it is.
He was at Cincinnati, then Kansas State for a short time, then went to West Virginia. It was home for him. And he feels incredibly comfortable there. He has taken Akron, Cincinnati, and West Virginia to the NCAA tournament. 2 Final Fours with Cincinnati. And Virginia went in '92 with the Bearcats, and in 2010 with a terrific Mountaineer team. David Stockton.
Yeah, Pango's back door as well. Could have delivered that.
We've got Sam Dower in right now. He's number 35. Mike Hart is in number 30. This is Stockton, who takes a big-time collision from Dominic Rutledge, the junior from Newark. Rutledge picks up his 3rd. Stockton comes off the bench now. He had the most assists off the bench in the West Coast Conference this season. Went to Gonzaga Prep in Spokane.
Think about this. You're pretty much the starter last year as a freshman. Then you've got a stud coming in, and Kevin Pangos somewhat takes the job. Think about what Mark Few has to deal with when you have 2 pretty good point guards on your roster. Then you got Gary Bell Jr.
Well, they all have great attitudes, so they can all coexist. Get the minutes and work to their team's success. So that's the value of having good people, not only good players, but good people.
Remember Marquise Carter, this is a guy that was their MVP of their tournament last year. He really doesn't get a lot of burn now because of the two freshman guards.
He had 24 points in that NCAA game a year ago against St. John's. Sacre. Robert Sacre, a 7-footer. He's got 12 in the game.
Is he looking over here at you, Red?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, what is his?
Am I Spike Lee or something?
No.
I like his game. He's got good hands down low, can turn over either shoulder.
And under control, too. He let the game come to him.
Not really forcing anything. Good footwork. Can run the floor, defend.
4 players in double figures for Gonzaga. With a little drive here by Gary Brown. And he scoots in. Fouled on the play. Halfway through this second half in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Earlier today, Kansas State got a little bit of a shove, but ended up winning. And Syracuse, in what has so far been one of the most talked about games in this round of 64, was pushed by UNC Asheville, trailing for a good part of that game.
So Lynn, now that you and I have had a chance to go in the back and watch some of the tape and what some of the guys were saying at halftime about the call and the free throw and it being a lane violation, you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, you got to call what you see. I mean, that's what college basketball is all about. You call what you see, and the rule is you can't, if you're not in the marked lanes and you can't break the plane until the ball hits the rim, so be it.
You should know that they choose the 98 officials for the tournament from a pool of 1,000, coast to coast. 1,000 are eligible, 98 are chosen, and the quality of their work judged game by game.
Cream of the crop, I would assume so.
Absolutely.
This tournament.
Absolutely. Gary Bell Jr. on the perimeter and working against Gary Brown. Here's David Stockton. He'll try to penetrate and take it inside with a quick foul called on West Virginia. Looked like maybe Truck Bryant was reaching in, picked up his second. Indeed he did, with 9:47 to play here in the second half. We've got good crowds here in Pittsburgh. The weather, by the way, as it is all over the country, but you just don't expect Pittsburgh in the middle stages of March to be terrific. But people walking around in short sleeves shirts, 70 yesterday, 70 plus yesterday, and just about that warm here this afternoon. It's been terrific weather here in Pennsylvania.
Tailgating going on all outside.
A lot of fun.
The games.
Very festive.
Yes, very.
9.5 to play. Sam Dower gets it off to Mykart. Now back to Dower. Left free to fire. Sam Dower from Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. His first 2.
Dower can shoot that. He can stretch that actually to 3-point range. A smooth lefty. Good hands.
This Gonzaga team is woven a great success story in the Pacific Northwest. They have finished first or second in the West Coast Conference regular season 15 consecutive years. I mean, that is unheard of. The hands of Stockton a little bit high on that pass by Gary Bell Jr. with the turnover.
Talked about Robert Sacre. Having nice hands, good footwork down low, turns over that left shoulder right there. And, when you get a big guy who has good hands and footwork, good timing, just makes offense and defense so much easier. Talks at the defensive end, which helps out the guards.
Well, actually, he talks at both ends.
Yes.
And on the sidelines, too.
Play-by-play, color analyst.
That's how he rolls.
Well, as you see on CBS, VCU, and there goes Kevin Jones diving inside for 2. He's got 9. He averages 20. VCU over on CBS is leading Wichita State. Shaka Smart once again making another run. He's a Harvard grad. And his name's going to be floating around once again as he's got that VCU Ram team on the run. A lot of good games going on, as you can see, not only right now, but coming up on our family networks. Every game seen nationally. Miles picks up his 4th personal foul. Right on the money here, Elias Harris, part of a terrific night for Gonzaga.
Wisconsin and New York. Good game going on CBS between VCU and Wichita State. Bradford Burgess leading the Rams with 13. They are holding off Wichita State right now, 54-53. Kevin.
It's a 12 against a 5. Here is a look at the Final Four from a season ago. UConn, Butler, Kentucky, and VCU, and where they stand in this tournament. Of course, Butler missed the NCAAs this year. Always kind of fun to revisit.
You see how teams go from season to season, obviously with players graduating and how good the coaches go out and recruit. What blue chippers they're bringing in to help solidify the program.
Mike Hart at the free throw line. He's a junior from Portland, Oregon, from Jesuit High School. Under 8 to play here in the second half. Ohio State coming up next against Loyola of Maryland.
I like the players off the bench from our field. Hart, Spangler, these guys do a little bit of everything, a lot of the dirty work. Play hard, aggressive.
There's that contained pressure right now. So simple 1-2-2, three-quarter pressure. Right now they have a chance to steal it.
Brown kept it alive. Skid with it as a freshman.
Not even looking inside down low to Kalichula.
Sacre on him. Bryant on the wing, guarded by Stockton. Hines launching the triple and rebound by Hart. No, if nothing else, West Virginia's going to give some nice tournament experience to a young team.
Yeah, they've got some guys coming back that certainly want to be able to build on the experiences, that not necessarily the freshmen, but the sophomores and juniors of the last couple of years, where West Virginia's made a more concerted run in the NCAA tournament.
Gary Brown to the trailing Bryant for the triple. That's his second 3 tonight.
And a rare fast break point in transition for the Mountaineers.
And most of the guys out here, though, are freshmen for West Virginia on that roster. And if this is a taste, you just hope it whets their appetite.
Well, just getting here, of course, is such an accomplishment. It was a rugged season in the Big East. They went 19-13. As you take a look at what this East region looks like, it'll be Syracuse, K-State Saturday. And Vandy will take on Wisconsin, a 4-5 matchup. That'll be entertaining. Vanderbilt got by Tommy Amaker's Harvard Crimson team. And again, Bo Ryan for the Wisconsin Badgers, getting a win for the Big Ten.
Jordan Taylor playing huge for Wisconsin. And John Jenkins had a big game for the Commodores of Vanderbilt. It's a nice matchup.
This game has not been down for a long time. The biggest lead for Gonzaga has got as high as 26.
You can still run your offense crisp if you're the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
Twisting and turning down. Hart. Shot clock at 3. Fire away. He does. Got it. How about that? Puts the finishing touches. A desperation triple. And that three-point ball's been falling all night long. Plus 15 points beyond the arc for the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
And what do they normally say? When it rains, it pours.
Yep.
Somebody's getting drenched out here with blue uniform.
Brown and Hines. Gary Brown gets the ball. The senior Bryant to the senior Kevin Jones. Kalichula. Got it to go. He's got 10.
Takes up a lot of space down low. Nice offensive effort there by Kalichula.
Lichwa is watching Sacre. And Gary Bell Jr. is picked up by Hines. Inside to Sacre and around Jones.
That's what you call playing for each other. Just excellent ball movement, looking for the open man. You know, with a score like this, there are oftentimes teams that get guys that come out here and they want to go for themselves now. They want to get into the scorebook. But Gonzaga continues to distribute the ball.
So I can see why a lot of young players want to come and play with Coach Few in this program. You share the basketball. It's an up-tempo style. You're going to run. You get it done. You're pressing defensively. But it's sharing the basketball what makes it so attractive. Play as one.
Sacre is gone with 14 points. He'll take the rest of the night off. Kevin Jones is at the free throw line for West Virginia. You see the great game, a tight one on CBS between VCU and Wichita State. With a little over a minute left in that one. It's a 5 against a 12.
Can't emphasize enough the career and really the season this year Kevin Jones has had for West Virginia. To lead the Big East in scoring and rebounding, something only 2 other guys in the history of the Big East, Walter Berry and Troy Murphy, has ever done.
Here's David Stockton. And back in the game is Marquise Carter. Elias Harris from Germany with the miss. And picked up by Jabari Hines. To Truck Bryant. And a good-looking rebound inside by Ryan Sprangler. And taken by Hines. He'll slide in, get the 2, and draw the foul. He's got a deuce right there.
Ernie Johnson in New York. Great finish building on CBS. Bradford Burgess of VCU knocks down a 3 right here, then followed with a floater. VCU leading Wichita State 62-59, 12 ticks.
Gonzaga, thank you, Ernie. 68-47 over West Virginia. Gary Brown got the last basket and 14 points for the Mountaineers. 9 of 10 for the free throw line. Will be at the line right now for West Virginia.
Look at the 3-point field goal difference between the 2 teams, and really started from jump ball, the aggressive nature of Gonzaga, especially in transition, floating behind that 3-point line. Bell Jr., Pangos.
Of West Virginia's points a game. That was the 4th best combination on one team in all of college basketball. Tough way to end their careers tonight. Some of the first kids that Bob Huggins recruited when he went back to West Virginia. Stockton. Right around Kalichla. Outside, they go to Marquise Carter. He's a senior from San Diego. Wide open 3, Mike Hart. Spangler lassos the loose ball with an easy spin. Puts in his first 2 tonight for the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
It's hard to think that's his first 2, as much as he's been around the basketball offensively, keeping balls alive and second shot opportunities for his teammates.
Jones to Brown. Truck Bryant. Trying to get it into Kevin Jones, is maneuvering inside with Elias Harris. Kevin Jones for 3. Glitchler. Jones right in front. And he's got 13 points.
Well, Kevin Jones, you talk about ending their careers tonight. Jones and Truck Bryant neither one of them anything they're ashamed about. They did tremendous jobs for West Virginia throughout their career, particularly Kevin Jones, who finished his conference season as the top player in that conference. You know, today, he just didn't get any help. Gonzaga game plan for him, kind of took him out of the mix in the first half, and his teammates weren't able to step to the floor.
And a little acrobatic move right there by Marquise Carter. Brown the other way. And picked up by Spangler. VCU did win, as you see up there on that top portion of your screen over on CBS. VCU, a 12 seed over Wichita State, which a lot of people, like I mentioned before, had circled as a team to watch in this tournament.
Yeah, but there's no discounting experience. And you took the VCU, they've been to the mountaintop Final Four last year, and there's enough holdovers there to, you know, continue that thirst to win something.
The Shock is smart. It's the will that he instills upon his young players. Talking about offensively, they're not the same team, but defensively, they're very much as good as last season.
That's Modis Murninghoff from Germany, a sophomore. Also in the game, Matisse Keita from France for the Bulldogs. Bryant takes it off the baseline. So Gonzaga will take on the winner of our nightcap here in Pittsburgh.
They're down low. They're normally a man-to-man team, but they were working on a few other things to see if they could limit the touches of Jared Sullinger.
Well, knowing Jimmy Patzos' imagination, it definitely will be interesting. You know, very imaginative coach. He gets his players involved and gets them enthused about whatever he lays out there.
Patzos was a longtime assistant to Gary Williams at Maryland. A Terp like you, Lenny.
Yes, sir. And I've known Jimmy for about 20 years right now.
Done a great job with that program in Baltimore.
And when he took that program over, they had only won one game, 1 in 27 that year.
Good find is the basket by Spangler will give him 4. Terrific feed on top by Marquise Carter. You know, there's always got to be an ending for the team that loses, and of course the seniors on that ball club, and that's what makes some of the most emotional moments when they know that it finally is over. Rutledge inside, squeezing the trigger.
And you kind of wish you could fast forward some of these freshmen to this moment, so that they value the experience. Because when it's over, folks.
And a timeout, Mark Few. Are they booing or are they saying few?
They were booing because there was a substitution timeout.
I know. I'm just having some fun with you there, Reg. 7.9 to play. I don't know if he wanted to give a chance maybe for Huggins to get his 2 seniors off the floor. He decided not to. Nice win for Gonzaga. They basically controlled it from wire to wire, beating Bob Huggins and the Mountaineers of West Virginia. So Gonzaga will advance, winning 77 to 54. For Reggie Miller, Len Elmore, and Marty Snyder, Kevin Harlan saying so long from Pittsburgh. Tournament games continue now on CBS, TBS, and True TV. Back to the studios after these messages.